From in the beginning to the musical apocalypse, this is The Bible Says What. I'm your host, Mike Wiseman. Quick update. I'm up to 4 spiders now. They're absolutely amazing. All of them are here in the studio with me. I'm completely surrounded by them. I've spent my whole life being terrified of spiders, but now with the help of Spider-Man, a guy on a pink-toe tarantula named Miles, and a few of his adorable friends, I'm losing that unjustified fear. That being said, during today's conversation, I made the claim that all spiders are venomous. I was 100% wrong. There are actually 2 species of spider that lack venom glands. So there you have it. I don't want to spread any misinformation about anything, especially spiders. Blasphemous. Remember, I'm an expert on nothing. Research and verify everything for yourselves. Praise Spider-Man. Let's start the show.
Is there anything in the Bible that you yourself have an issue with? Okay, so it took you reading the Bible to realize that those things were bad for you?
Yeah, it actually did. I
Couldn't
didn't
figure this out on your own?
No, Ted Bundy could be redeemed. God doesn't kill children.
What do you think the Passover was? Yahweh sets up a whole system in the Old Testament where you slaughter animals just so he's able to forgive you.
Today's special guest is author Troy Hadeed. Welcome to the show, Troy.
Yeah, thank you, Michael. Can I call you Mike?
Absolutely.
All right, Mike. Wicked. Yeah, thanks for having me, man.
Thanks for coming on. Thanks for taking the time. So tell us a little bit about this book of yours.
Wow, it's called straight into it. It's called My Name is Love. I've been writing it for the last 4 years. Subtitle is We're Not All That Different. And pretty much it is a book to me about how do we get out of our own way and remember what it means to love one another, like beyond these. We're born into a world where we're, in a lot of ways, we're told we're separate. From the day we're born, I'm given a body and I'm told that body is Troy. And then you're given a body and you're told that body is Mike. So right away, from the second we enter the world, we are programmed to see ourselves as separate and other. And I think there's this subtle unconscious programming that causes us to live our lives governed by this need for self-preservation, this need to meet our own personal needs and desires. And I believe that for us to really understand and remember what it means to love, we need to have a look at that and be able to get that obsession with individual identity out of the way so that we can remember what it means to love one another.
And how do we do that?
Man, every day it's constant introspection, constant reprogramming. And this book, what it does is it's a little bit of philosophy and teaching with some stories from my own life to see how these teachings show up, and not only where I embody them, but more importantly, where I feel to embody them. Because I think there's a culture in our world, this New Age spirituality train is pumping. And there's a lot of people, and it's cool and it's hip, and that's great. But there's a lot of times what we do is we look at all these teachings and philosophies and we repost them on social media and we point out where we're embodying these teachings in our lives. But we're not creating a space to look at where we're not. And we're not looking at our own darkness and our own shadow and our own misalignments. And it's so important that if we are committed to being better human beings, that it's so important that we do that. And we have the courage to look at where we're not showing up from a place of love, where we're not showing up from a place of alignment,
Interesting. Thank you for that. Yeah, no, we should all strive to be better humans, that's for sure. Could all use a little bit of that. Yeah, every day, try to be a little better. 1% is where I'm aiming for. That 1%, just a little bit better every day.
Absolutely.
It's a goal you can achieve, I believe, at least.
Yeah,
but that's awesome. So what does love mean to you?
I have to me what love is. We have such a tough question, Mike, by the way.
Yes.
You could have given me a heads up. I think everyone has a different idea of what love is.
Hmm.
And that I think comes from our conditioning and our bringing and our experiences. And I think for a lot of us, we have it wrong,
Hmm.
or our perspective is somewhat skewed. So I would say two things before I answer your question. First thing I would say is that love, when we think of love, we often think of flowers and rainbows and butterflies and Cupid and all the cute little stuff. And love is fierce. Love is courageous. And love is in your face. Like real love is willing to rock a boat to facilitate transformation. And I always say, if you're not willing to lose someone or lose something, then you don't really love them. To love something or to love someone is to be willing to lose them to facilitate their growth and transformation. Love is fierce. And I think that's something we have to recognize is that love is courageous. It's not always comfortable. It's uncomfortable. Sometimes it's painful. It's what love is.
Yeah.
And I think the second thing we have to acknowledge is that love is not conditional. It's not conditional. As long as your love is conditional, it's self-serving.
Yeah.
It's not really love. You can't, if you love someone only if they meet your desires and needs, or only if they do as you think is right, then you're not really loving them. It's a business deal.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think this is a massive problem that has come through historically. I mean, you look at religion as well, right, Mike? And it's like, look at the narrative that has been told by religion. God loves you as long as you do X, Y, and Z. That is a conditional love. And I think that is something we need to really look at. Love is not conditional. And there's a quote by, I think, Yogi Bhajan. A lot of these quotes, you never really know who truly said it or not. But he says, well, he uses the word God. He says you cannot see God in anyone unless you see God in everyone. And you cannot love anyone as long as you love everyone. And I firmly do believe that. And I know this could open up a whole can of worms for our discussion, but I'm ready.
Right.
To answer your questions, Mike, I believe to love someone is to see God in them, to see divinity in them.
Got it.
And then to act accordingly.
All right.
Now, I know, to my understanding, I believe you're an atheist, right? So
correct. Yes. Yeah. Good. So my next question is obviously, can you describe your God? Can you describe your deity for me?
Yeah. So for me, Mike, the very first chapter of my book is called Redefining God.
Redefining God.
Redefining God. And I think it's very important that we do that.
Interesting.
Because, and I've had this conversation, I've had a conversation with atheists before, and at the end of that conversation, I asked the question, well, do you believe in anything, like any intelligence of any kind?
I don't know. I live on the planet Earth. I'm not sure.
Yeah. So my point is that if someone does believe in any energy or any intelligence, even an energy, anything unseen that connects human beings, then I call that God.
The internet. It's an unseen entity that connects human beings.
That's a good one. Now, I want to make clear, Mike, I'm not trying to convert you. This is just my, this is, but even the internet. All right, sure, go with it. Or something that connects us universally. I mean, to me, when somebody walks in a room, you feel the energy they carry. There's something there that is unseen. For me, For me,
Yeah.
this is for
Yeah.
me, right?
Yeah.
So what I invite people to do, here's how I would approach it. I have chosen and to believe and know, I know that there is something outside of the individual existence.
You know that there's something outside the individual.
I know there is.
It's quite a claim.
Yeah, I know there is. But again, look at that, Mike. For me to know there is, that's what I choose to believe. That's my knowledge. I can't prove that to you.
Well, no.
I can't prove that to anyone. But for me, it's what gives my existence meaning. And let me explain. If my existence was just for me and my pleasures and my desires, then I'm okay giving it up. I'm like, cool, I'm done. It serves no purpose, right? I have to know, for me, that my life in some way is contributing to the evolution of human consciousness and something greater than myself. And if that's what gives my life meaning and purpose.
Okay.
Because the way I see it, there's no way, Mike, for me and you to leave this conversation as the same people that came into it. It's impossible. In some way, we would have impacted one another. And you and what you share with me today is going to live with me from here on. You're now part of me, Mike. You're now part of me.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Maybe we should just stop this now then.
Yeah. But so I guess what I'm getting at when I frame redefining God is I do connect to something larger. It could be form. Some people might see it as a form or formless. To me, it's formless and it's nameless. Because I don't believe religion in any way. You can't make something exclusive or something as vast as divinity. You can't claim ownership of it and put it into a box and say that it belongs to some people and doesn't belong to others. So my understanding of God might be very different to the normal understanding of God. You know, but for me, there is something that connects all of us.
Something that connects all of us, and that something is God.
Well, it can be called whatever you want it to be. I'm not attached to the name God.
Okay.
So many people have asked me before, well, do you think it's important to use the word God, or can we use a universe? Can we use another name? For me, in my opinion, it doesn't matter. I believe that every single individual has a right to their own relationship with the divine, or whatever they want to call it. Every single individual. And I think that's really important because no one else can tell you what that is. This is your relationship to it. And I think we need to create space for every single individual to redefine and cultivate their own relationship to whatever that is. Somebody might say it's in this jar. Somebody might say it's in a tree. For me, it's whatever connects you to something outside of your own individual existence. And I use the word God. I use a lot of words for it. And somebody once asked me, they said, do you think it's important for us to use the word God? Can we use another word? And I explained to them that for me, it's important. For me, it's important personally. But just for me, I can't say what it is for anyone else. And the reason I choose to use the word God is because I acknowledge all the wrongs and misalignment that have been done in the name of religion. And I believe that if I choose to use a different word, I'm creating more separation. I'm creating more exclusivity and saying that what I believe as the divine intelligence is different to what someone else believes. And I don't believe there is. I believe there's one consciousness of whatever you want to call it. I don't believe it's different. So I believe that I choose to use the word God because I would love to invite those that do connect with God or those that do connect to realms of organized religion. I would love to shift that perspective and open it up just a little bit. I would like to begin to correct the misalignments that have been done in the name of God. And I'll just say one more thing. For me, it's important because if I don't believe in something outside of myself that connects me and Mike or connects me to all of existence, then that makes me separate. That makes me other. And that means that to me, that my mere existence is somewhat meaningless because it also means that when I leave my body, I will cease to exist. And that's not something I generally connect to.
Gosh, it scares you a little
bit.
Mike.
Go,
scare
Mike.
You a little bit there? When you
not at all.
Does that scare you a little bit? What that thought of not having that afterlife? That how does that make you feel?
No, it's not. I don't believe it's even an option. I believe. So let me explain, because I do believe also, Mike, that my views might be a little different to what you're accustomed hearing.
Every person is different. That's why I love this. It's because nobody has the same. Well, not everybody has the same answers. A lot of them don't have the same answers. But this is again, you're unique. You believe in a consciousness is a little bit different, but it's basically the same thing. You believe in a higher power, just a little different ingredients. There it is.
I want to use the word power, but an intelligence.
Gotcha, not power.
It's not a power. It's a consciousness.
It's a consciousness. So it's a living being.
Whatever. Oh yeah, it has to be. Look at the world we live in, dude. Like to me, it's like something is behind this. Even if you connect a Big Bang, well, there have to be things to bang. Even if you believe in a God, well, I would ask the question, well, all right, well, where did God come from?
Yeah.
You know? But I want to answer your other question first, and that is that I don't believe in that there's a heaven and hell as such. I don't believe that there's somewhere you go to as such. I don't know if that's true. I have no way of knowing. And to me, anybody that claims they know, that raises some flags for me. Like there's no real way of knowing, right?
Yeah. When somebody tells me they know for sure about the invisible things.
Yeah. But here's what I know.
Sends up some flags.
So here's what I know for sure, Mike. Right? And I can describe this from a scientific point of view as well. Energy cannot be created nor destroyed. It merely changes state. Einstein, right? Our existence as we know it is molecules of energy and particles vibrating at certain frequencies to create this world we live in. So I believe that every action, every word, and every thought carries with it a resonance and a vibration.
Oh, wow.
On a very subtle level. Everything we do in the world carries with it a resonance, a vibration that impacts the world around us, which is also one of the reasons why I don't know if you're comfortable with the idea, but me and you are not leaving this conversation the same. The world cannot be the same place because we've had this conversation. Because every one of our interactions from here on will be different because of this conversation. So, in other words, when I leave my body, I know that resonance and vibration will continue to exist in some form.
How do you know you're going to leave your body, though, Troy? How do you know you're going to leave your body? Because when that energy, the energy in our body just decomposes, it goes back into the earth and recycles itself.
Yeah.
I don't see any other part going anywhere. That's the invisible part that is different.
So I'm not speaking to, I get you. I'm not speaking to a soul.
Gotcha.
Or an entity.
Okay.
I'm speaking to the mere fact that I could give you a story from my experience I had last year, but I don't want to go there just yet.
Okay.
But what I'm speaking to is the actual way we make people feel.
Okay.
The actual way we impact someone's consciousness or someone's intelligence or the way they show up in the world. Because if you can impact how my relationships from this point on, then you live in that. And every conversation I have, you live in that conversation. And you will impact people through my conversations. So that's what I'm speaking of, is the vibration and the impact that you have had on the world while you were in your body will never end. That resonance and vibration of that will continue to have ripple effects throughout the continent of humanity.
I mean, that's a claim. That's quite a claim.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a lot of different variables in there. We could just we have famous quotes by anonymous authors. Those people aren't resonating anymore. The anonymous person is resonating. So let's just say Jim Bob made this amazing quote that we're now using as anonymous, and that person's long and gone, and Jim Bob never gets any recognition for it, so his voice really isn't carrying anywhere. His resonance, Mr. Anonymous is. So yeah, go ahead.
I get you 100%. But that's because Jim Bob is not actually Jim Bob.
Jim Bob is the universe.
Remember, I feel like talking to you, Mike. You make me sound like an absolute nutter. You make me sound so
I can ask questions.
So here's what I think the biggest, I don't call it a lie, because I believe that a lie is something that's told to deceive. Right? This is not what I'm about to tell you, is not a lie, but it is one of the most, if not the biggest narrative and misinformation that we've ever decided to believe was true.
The Bible.
No, sure, I can get that as well. I'm with you on that one, right? I don't think we'll argue there. But it's the fact that my name is Troy, and I am my body. Jim Bob is not actually Jim Bob, and that body is not actually who he is. It's just like an outfit he wears at one point in time. And this energy or this consciousness decides to take this form of Jim Bob, but it doesn't actually care whether it's ever known as Jim Bob or not.
So there's a consciousness living inside of us that's just using our bodies as hosts?
Some kind of intelligence, yes, that wants to experience life in human form for whatever reason.
Yeah. Now, why do you believe this? Where did that come from? Where did that idea, that concept come from?
I think, Mike, that whether you want to call it God or whatever you want to call it, I believe that there's a difference between being told of God or being told of that intelligence and experiencing it. And I think for the most part, a lot of people have been told of it. And you can't know it by being told of it. The only way you can truly know it is by experiencing it. And I'll just give you one example. For me, I've always felt really close to something, always. But I now live in a forest. I live in a forest outside of East City in Trinidad. And my first night in a forest was one of the nights where I think I actually understood that this divine intelligence, that this God was not something outside of myself. It was not like in some far off land, that there is some kind of energy that connects us to all living things, connects us to each other, and connects us to the natural world.
But what brought that along? What brought that thought on? You were in the forest. Were you meditating? Did something visit you? What happened?
it's not a thought, Mike, because it's not something that happens in any mind. To me, the mind is logic based, right? The mind is very logical and concerned with.
Have you met a lot of people?
Yeah, a lot.
There's very many people using their mind as logic. But yeah, I mean, we can get it there.
Let me put it this way: the mind is concerned with giving proof or explanation or our survival, because the mind is very egoic, which is the mind is driven by our identity as an individual. And for me, this was not something I thought. This was something I felt, and it was undeniable to me.
Can you describe that for me? Because that's interesting. So you felt that there was a higher power in your body, or a force in your body. You felt
not so much in my body. Here's how I see it. How I see it, Mike, is I love that. This might be one of my favorite podcast interviews ever. So here's how I see it.
Okay.
I see it as there's a plasma. Think of like a plasma that holds all of existence together.
Okay.
So it's not that it's inside of me and it's not inside of you. It holds everything together. Like almost like we were all in this body of water, like fish in the ocean, almost, I guess. So that's how I see it. It surrounds us. It's not that it's inside of me and it's not inside of anyone else. It's everywhere. It's everywhere. And that first night in the forest. So I grew up in a city, Mike. I'm a city boy, right?
Uh-huh.
And yeah, I live on an island, so I spend a lot of time in the nature and the waterfalls and the beaches, and a lot of time.
Rub it in, jeez, Troy.
Yeah, a lot of time in nature, right? But I wouldn't call myself in Trinidad. We have what we call a bushman. I wouldn't call myself like some kind of survival bushman, right? So that first night, I lived 6 years in a tree house. And that first night in the forest, in the treehouse, was scary as shit, right?
Sure.
And I felt very threatened by everything around me. You're talking all the nocturnal creatures come out, all the sounds, the place goes dark. I could scream and no one would hear me. And I felt very threatened. And there was something that moved inside of me, and I believe that there's divine intelligence in our breath. That could be a whole different conversation.
You just opened another can. We'll get to that can later.
Yeah. But I've been practicing and teaching yoga for almost 20 years. So that could be a whole next conversation. But I believe that there's intelligence that is communicated through breath.
Okay.
I could only imagine where that convo is going to go. But what I realized was that night in the forest, I felt threatened and I felt unsafe because I saw
Most
myself.
people would.
Yeah, but because I saw myself as separate from everything else around me. And as long as I saw myself separate from everything else around me, then I was concerned for my own survival, for my own safety.
Because nature wants to kill you. I mean, that's nature's goal.
Right. And that's the
everything
narrative.
wants to eat you.
That's the narrative we've been told, right?
But it's true.
Is it?
Yes. That's why people die in the forest. That's why lions attack and kill people. I mean, nature is dangerous.
Yeah. If it's dangerous, Mike.
Yes.
If you believe you cease to exist after your body.
It's still dangerous, though. It's still going to hurt your body. Right?
Yeah, it's going to hurt your
dangerous.
body. Yeah, it's going to hurt your body and you will experience suffering.
Yeah. And if it eats you, you're not going to be Troy anymore. Troy's going to cease to exist.
I'm not Troy
water,
anyway,
right?
Mike. This is what
exactly.
you're missing. I'm not Troy anyway.
No,
right?
I understand that. Yeah. So once that lion eats the body who is Troy, that Troy person no longer exists, and you're just the water consciousness again. Is that what happens?
Exactly. And the resonance and vibration of my actions, words, and thoughts.
Do you feel pain?
Of course, because I'm
Yeah.
a human form. Yeah.
Yeah. So that sucks. We don't want to be eaten. Yeah. So that's where the fear comes from.
Yeah.
Not that we get to join the consciousness, but
Yeah. I don't think the human experience is all meant to be flowers and rainbows.
Yeah, but I don't want to be eaten alive either, Troy. I mean, there's a difference there.
No. Yeah.
Can I just go quietly into the night?
Yeah, I'm with you. And I'm not saying, don't get me wrong here, Mike. I'm not saying you would volunteer to be eaten by a lion.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that.
But it's still good to be fearful of that.
Sure.
That's what I'm saying.
Fear has a purpose.
Yeah.
Fear has a purpose, of course. But that night, I understood and I could feel that I was part of everything else around me. I wasn't.
Yes, we are all one with nature. Yeah, we're all part of this whole circle of life thing.
But it's more than it's more than that. You know, I think a lot of time we as human beings view humankind as separate from nature, and we're not. We're part of it. Yeah. We're part of it.
We agree.
Yeah, we're part of it. You know? So,
100%.
And I want to just mention an experience I had last year. Is I went into a solitary room in the complete absence of light. So it's what would now be known as a dark retreat or dark room retreat, right?
Yeah, I heard that.
And what I understood, and the reason I went into that room, Mike, was because I began to recognize that we define ourselves by the external world. Meaning that I am Troy because you are Mike. I am a human being because this is a jar. Right? I believe in God, and you are an atheist, and we define ourselves by our difference of opinion. So we define ourselves in a lot of ways by the external world.
What's the internal world? Is there an internal world we can define ourselves by?
Well, sure, but the internal world, it depends how you define the internal world. Because somebody might define the internal world as their ideas, ideologies, opinions, and beliefs.
Which is all based on the external world. So how do we base anything off of an internal world that we can't see, hear, touch, taste, or feel?
Okay, so this was partially my question, Mike. This is why I went into darkness. Because my question was, if I want to understand who I truly am, or even glimpse this intelligence that I call God, then part of doing that would be to remove as much of the external world as I possibly could. And then, what is there then?
Darkness.
What is that?
In your own consciousness.
Yeah. What is there then? There was. And I'll tell you what came out for me. That was probably one of the most agonizing and comfortable experiences of my entire life.
Yeah, I couldn't.
I experienced levels of depression and anxiety and suffering that I couldn't imagine, right?
That does not sound like fun.
It was not fun, but it was absolutely profound.
Well,
it was absolutely profound.
Things happen to your brain when you're in solitary confinement, and not all of it's known exactly what and why and how. So, I mean, there's a lot of psychological issues that can happen with that.
But we don't know. Can I kiss on your show, Mike?
Of course.
Yeah.
Of course.
So here's the reality, Mike. Here is the reality.
Here it is.
We don't know fuck all.
We don't know fuck all.
Exactly. Can we agree on that?
Yeah. Well, we know a little bit of fuck, but not fuck all. Yeah.
Yeah, but we don't know anything.
Yeah, we don't know much.
We don't know anything, right? And what I came out of that experience recognizing is there is one thing I can know, and there's one thing I identify with.
Okay.
And that is that, and again, I'm going to use the words resonance and vibration, even though I try, I pride myself on not sounding like a mumbo jumbo new age spiritual blah, 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 blah.
You're
right?
fine, yeah.
Right? But at the same time, there is a resonance and a vibration of everything we do. Every thought, every action, every word, every interaction we have with someone, it carries a vibration with it. And you can feel that. If you're paying attention, you can feel that. If someone is a complete jackass, self-centered, ignorant, obnoxious, and they walk in a room, it's a very different feeling to when someone else walks in a room. If you have a conversation with that individual and an interaction with that individual, it leaves you with a very different feeling and resonance. And what I have concluded coming out of that darkroom experience is that we are, I'm going to explain a little bit too, we are our relationships.
Okay.
In a sense of, not that I define myself as a human being because this is a jar. No. But we are the resonance and vibration of our relationships. We are that vibration that we contribute to this collective consciousness of humanity.
I've heard of that explained a different way. We build our own universe, so we are
Sure.
that's our universe that we build, and everything we create ourselves. We are creators. We are gods in our own sense, in our own worlds, in that manner.
Sure.
But I mean, as far as that goes, they can only go so far. There's other interactions. There's the people that come in and fuck up your planet. There's all kinds of things that happen. But thank you for that. What I did want to get into though is that external world versus what? Because if we're pushing apart the external world, what exactly are we left with? We're left with that consciousness, that entity, that divine entity. What are we left with?
I mean, I don't know if I would use the word of pushing it apart, but you see, and this is where it can get tricky, because I want to remove the external world to understand a little bit more of what there is outside of that external world. Like, what is there at the very foundational surface? What is at the very root of the existence of our existence?
This kind of reminds me of the whole question, or the whole thing of you're just using your human brain. You're not understanding because you're a human. You had to get outside that human brain and think differently. Well, I don't know how to think differently than human. That's what I am. And I don't know how to think like a ghost or a spirit or an entity of consciousness. I don't know how that works, because that's very confusing to me.
Yeah. I don't think you need to.
Okay. It just works.
You see, here's the thing, Mike. As far as, let me put it this way.
Yeah.
I have no desire to convince anyone that there is a God or a higher consciousness. Because here's the reality. If there is, whether we believe it or not, it's irrelevant.
Well, help it make sense, though, Troy. Help it make sense for me. Because I hear this all the time. I'm only thinking with my human brain. I'm not thinking God. You can't think like God. You can't think like my spirit friend or whatever it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So my thing, Mike, is this is so good. I love this combo because here's the reality. I'm telling you what I believe, what I have come to know and feel.
Well, feel.
And because because
you tell me you know this thing.
Yeah. And I know it because I feel it. You can't know something.
You can't trust your feelings, though, Troy.
But I can, and I
do.
do.
Man, no, that's a scary thing. We do not trust our feelings. I don't trust my feelings. So you have to like dive into it and find out for sure. Feelings are
I
fleeting.
feel like let's get back a little bit, if you mind. Then we could jump back there. We could jump back, right? But here's the absolute. Like, this is the baseline. It comes back to us not knowing. I can't make it make sense for you, Mike. I can't. It's
that's
impossible.
Not cool.
but look at our mere existence. You see, this is where you start to draw everything to me between science, religion, and all of it just freaking melts. It all dissolves. Because here's the reality. None of it makes fucking sense. None of it does.
Well, it makes sense to
We,
somebody. That's why we have scientists. You know, they make sense to them.
yeah, but
Yeah.
it kind of, but not really. Not really, Mike, because even Einstein, when he was dying, he acknowledged it. It's like at the very base of any scientific explanation to anything, I can ask you how and why. How and why?
Yeah.
How and why? How and why? We are so absolutely clueless, which is why, as long as you are committed to saying it doesn't make sense, cool, it doesn't make sense. It never will. It never will. I can't prove, I cannot prove to you or anyone else that there is a great intelligence. I can't prove that.
But you're convinced of it because the great intelligence convinced you of it, or you experienced the great intelligence and allowed it to convince you?
Yeah, I experienced it and I feel it. But again, here's the thing. I feel it, and that's how I know it. But at the very same time, me and you can
feel it, I know it.
Yeah, but
Troy,
hold on. Don't jump on me yet. Don't jump on me yet, Mike. Don't jump on me yet. Here's why. Because me and you can have the very same experience and interpret it differently. And I might feel one thing, and you might not feel something at all, or you might feel something completely different. That's the reality of it. And it comes back to the fact that we do not know anything. Because what I am is, I am a bag of conditioning. I am a bag of fucking conditioning in human form. And that conditioning has made me who I am. It has shaped my beliefs, my experiences, my everything. And the same with you. Right? The same with you.
That's how life works. Yeah. It shapes our lives, life works, shape ourselves. Yeah.
But you can change conditioning and you can have different experiences, and those experiences change your perspectives and your conditioning. So we are not, so then if that can change, then that's not who we are. That might be who we are at one point in time.
Yeah.
Much like my body isn't who I am. It's who I am. You might call it who I am right now because it's housing my conditioning. But
that's all I know, Troy. Troy is all I know. This is the Troy. Yeah. All I know is this is Troy. I don't know an invisible part of Troy. So this is what I go with. What I can.
So let me tell you. Suppose, Mike, that me and you were really close. Imagine we were like best friends that grew up from kids, and we lived our entire lives together as best friends. And I died when I was 80.
Oh.
Better yet, I died when I was 140. I left my body. Right. Will you remember me after I was gone?
Yes, until I die, and then that memories that I have will be gone.
Yeah, but what if you told somebody else about experiences?
What if they didn't remember? What if they're like, oh, he told me this story about this one dude. I remember the story. I don't remember the dude. So that way, Troy does not continue on. That story does, and whoever that person is, not Troy. So, I mean, there's lots of different, I like the resonating idea, like the whole idea, like this podcast. It'll go on after I'm gone. Maybe we'll see. But
absolutely,
somebody can delete it. All of my podcasts could be deleted and gone. So therefore, my resignation, my voice is my whatever is gone. It's faded away.
No way. I disagree.
How does that work?
Because when somebody listens to your podcast, it shifts something within them.
Oh, well, maybe.
It does.
Yeah.
Because it does. Or else you wouldn't be doing this. You wouldn't be doing this.
Troy, I do this because I love it.
Yeah, but if you didn't think and believe that your podcast impacted people, you wouldn't do it. Would you?
I would. I would. And if my podcast didn't impact, again, this is wherever I go to. I love these conversations. I'll be having these conversations regardless of this podcast. If we had
great.
one listener, I'd still be doing these conversations.
What if you had no listeners?
I am the listener. So I still be doing these conversations.
That's
I love the interaction. I love to get to meet all these new people. And you're from Trinidad, man. You're like, you're not even remotely close to me. So I mean, this is really cool.
But
so it's a unique experience.
But I am, Mike.
Oh, that's right. That's right. We're water. Conscious.
Yeah. I am. I'm not only close to you. I'm part of you. I'm inside of you.
That's.
I know.
I've never said that on the air. Troy, that's a good one.
As a straight man, that language might be somewhat jarring. But if you are straight, I don't know. But yeah, and ahead, let's get to breath now, because
let's before we get to breath, I do want to get to breath, but I do want to go back to I feel it, therefore I know it.
Yeah.
Okay, Troy.
You can't know what you don't. You can't know what you don't.
You can't trust your feelings. I'm going to give you a scenario here. I was in a relationship with somebody I thought cared about me.
Yeah.
I felt it. I knew it. Guess what? They didn't.
Good. Great.
So why do we trust our feelings, Troy? Why do you trust your feelings? Why do you say you know something?
I just had an idea.
Okay,
I think me and you should co-host a fucking show.
Let's do it. That's what we're doing right now.
I think, holy shit, I think we could talk about these things for so long. All right, let me get this. I think we have somewhat unconsciously been led to believe that the human experience is supposed to revolve around our satisfaction, our needs, and our desires. And I don't believe that. I think that, imagine it like this. I think that the human experience, in some aspect, the answer, now get this, the answer I don't have, right, Mike? But I view the human experience as some kind of school.
Okay.
Some kind of spiritual university of.
Oh, that sucks for kids with cancer.
Yeah.
Great school.
Yeah. Well. Hear
children murdered. I don't see that as a good school. It's a shitty school.
I know, but hear me out here, Mike.
Okay.
It's shit. I agree with you.
Yeah. Who created the shit school?
Yeah, I agree with you. It's really shitty. If we identify with our individual bodies.
That's all I can identify with. That's all I have.
I know, because maybe that's all you've experienced.
I have not experienced my other body.
Yeah, and for some of us, we all have different experiences, because I believe that's what we're meant to experience. That's what a conditioning we're meant to have, and the experience we are meant to have, right?
Dude.
Now,
we're meant to have experience. Okay, so I'm just going to go to the poor kid dying of cancer. He's meant to have that experience. The kid that's raped in church, he's meant to have that experience. Who's meaning for these experiences to happen?
Yeah, I'm with you, Mike. I get it. Don't get me wrong. I'm with you. A human experience is fucked.
Yeah.
And it's laden with suffering and pain beyond our conception. I'm with you. I'm not arguing that. But get this. I look at all the pain and suffering in the world, and before I deliver what I'm about to deliver, understand that at least for me, if you disagree with this, well, I don't know, but the mind is the most powerful thing on the planet. And whatever you choose to believe becomes your reality. I can't
choose to believe something, though, Troy. I can't choose to believe that randomly I'm not scared of spiders. I can't choose to believe that.
No, but you can
not how it works.
You can't choose to believe that spiders are out to get you, and that creates your fear.
Well, there's a lot. Yeah. Well, I mean, my fear is the bite. I mean, regardless, if they're out to get me, if I get too close, they're gonna get scared. They're gonna, run on my face. I don't know, freaking me out. right now talking about
everything. But the mind creates your reality, Mike. The mind creates your anxiety. The mind creates fear. The mind creates depression. The mind creates worry. Everything exists in the mind. And the mind is a collection of our conditioning and our experiences and our programming. Your mind and your reality is very different from my reality because my mind chooses to believe something completely different. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? So my mind is the absolute power. Mind is it. To me, the mind is the most powerful thing there is. Everything you say to me and you believe comes from your mind. It's your reality.
Yeah, it doesn't come from my heart or a spirit or a ghost or something inside of me. Yeah, it's my mind. It's my own consciousness that's coming up with these thoughts and ideas. Yeah.
Whatever, right?
Just
now,
myself.
We went off topic a little bit, so I forgot where I was going now.
I forgot
I completely forgot where I was going.
It happens all the time.
Yeah, did we where was I going before I pointed out?
I don't know, but let's go back to the breath. We're getting close here to the end. Let's close out on the breath. Let's talk about that.
All right, good. So it would it makes sense. Well, let me get straight into it, right?
Yeah. Jump on it.
Now I would talk to somebody about the word spirit, like Holy Spirit, but of course that means nothing to you because you don't connect to any kind of spirit or God or intelligence.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. But it makes sense to me when I understood that the word spirit actually comes from the Latin word spiritus. And it means to breathe.
To breathe.
To breathe. Now, I have been teaching and practicing yoga for over almost 20 years now. And I think there are a lot of misconceptions around the practice of yoga in our world today, and that might take a whole nother conversation, right?
Well, yeah, people do their own thing, that's for sure.
Yeah, but I've come to understand that there is an intelligence in the breath, and that there's certain things
in breath,
in the breath, right?
In the breath,
and there's something that happens when someone cultivates an intentional relationship with their breath.
You're going to have to explain that. That's just going way over my head.
Yeah, I will. But before I go there, it makes sense to me that there would be some kind of divine element in the breath, because in the air we breathe, because it's the one thing that connects every living being on the planet. I live in Trinidad. You live in Las Vegas. And I wouldn't be surprised, Mike, if at some point along our existence that the same molecules of air that were inside of me one day are inside of you. That's why pandemic was a shit show.
Well, people are dumb. That's why the pandemic was a shit show. But
yeah, well, we could that too could be a whole different conversation. But the air we breathe is the one thing that connects every living being on a planet.
What about the sun? Doesn't that connect every living being on the planet? The ground.
The earth. All of it.
Yeah.
But what if someone lived in a cave and never saw sunlight before?
Ooh, good one.
Yeah. I'm not like, I love his son. I think light is phenomenal, and I think light is absolute magic. So I'm not trying to take anything away from it.
No, but, I believe you.
Yeah. So
as far as the molecule, it's a God force or a God that's coming in and out of our breath? How does that work? What is that?
It's an intelligence and a consciousness, and you see, I believe it's also beyond our understanding, which is why I can't make it make sense for you, Mike.
But you understand it.
I'm trying to, but I can't say I understand it, because
it doesn't make any sense to me then either. I mean, it doesn't make sense to you, and it doesn't make sense to me. Why do we believe it?
Because I feel it.
You feel, again, you're trusting your feelings here, Troy.
Oh, that's what
that was the thing we were talking about.
That's what you're talking about, right? Oh, that's what you're talking about. All right, so we go back there a little bit.
We're going right back to it, yeah, trusting that feeling.
Feeling keeps coming up, right? And we were talking about all the pain and suffering in the world, and how hell it can make any sense, right? And I was talking about how I saw a human experience had some kind of curriculum. Now get this, Mike. Can I prove this to you? No. But this is what I have chosen to believe to help it make sense to me.
You've chosen to believe it to help it make sense to you. Let's
yeah.
You've chosen to believe it.
So get this.
Yeah.
Right? We just, and this is where my referencing mind came up. Because what you choose to believe becomes your reality. It dictates your reality in life.
But doesn't make it true, though. What you choose to believe, yeah.
Oh, of course it doesn't make it true.
Yeah.
But it's true to you.
That doesn't make it universally, objectively true. It's just subjectively true. I can subjectively believe that spiders are not venomous. That doesn't make it not.
What is objectively true, Mike?
Spiders are venomous.
Not true. Not all spiders are venomous.
All spiders are venomous. They just have a different level of venom.
Okay. What if I go to a place where there are no spiders?
Where? Antarctica? Maybe Antarctica. I don't know.
Right now, where I am right now, in this seat right now, there is no spiders.
Oh.
Mike, here's the
There's
thing,
two
brother.
here.
Mike, here's the thing, brother. The same way you can question everything I say, I can question everything you say.
Absolutely. Absolutely. But I'm not making any claims at this point. And
neither am I. My claim to you is that my one claim is that what you choose to believe in your mind is your reality. Right? What you choose to believe in your mind is your reality. It doesn't mean it is. It doesn't mean it is the reality.
It's not a real reality. It's a fantasy, essentially.
It's your reality.
It's your fantasy.
Call it whatever the hell you want, but
because it can't be real, though. It can't be a reality. If I'm thinking that this spider right here is not venomous, I do have a spider here. It is not venomous. That doesn't make it real. And if I grab him and I muck with him and he bites me, and I'm like, it's not venomous, that doesn't make that venom any less real.
No, but it's real to you up until the point when you
until reality comes in.
Yeah, until you get bitten and you realize, well, holy fuck.
Holy shit, that was not a good idea.
That was not a good idea. I was wrong. Good. The point is, Mike, that the mind dictates your reality. There's nothing anybody can say that can disprove that.
Well,
what you choose to believe is real. When you see a psychotic madman walking the streets, talking to himself, his reality in that moment is real to him. It's real to him.
It's real to him. But when we step out of his subjective, twisted view of things, we find that in reality, it's not real. Right?
Well, maybe not. Sure, maybe not.
So that's not truth.
No, but there's only one truth. We said that already. We proved it, Mike, that we don't know anything.
I believe we can know some things. And
yeah, you know what you think you know, and that thinking and knowing comes from your mind.
Troy, I know I'm talking to you.
Yeah, your mind tells you you're talking
not
to
a
me,
feeling.
How do you know this is not a hologram?
I don't, but I know I'm talking to all I can go is what I can see, feel, hear, touch, taste in my reality. Okay. And this is as far as I can go. Is I've had hundreds of these conversations and not one of them has been a, oh man, sorry, my headset just went out.
Yeah.
Are you there? Okay, now I'm back. Are you there?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Okay, there we go. Yo. I can hear you. My earbuds went out, so I couldn't hear anything.
Yeah.
Damn it! What was I saying?
Well, I don't know, but it's like we're going wrong in circles a little bit, Mike. Because there's only two. If you want to call it, there are two ultimate truths.
Yes.
One is that we don't know anything.
Yeah. Well, we can know something. So that's what I was going for. Yeah.
Well, one is we're absolutely clueless. The second only thing we know to be true is that whatever you believe to be true is your truth and reality. It doesn't mean it's someone else's.
But we base it
But
off
it's
of reality.
yours.
Well, the things we can see, hear, taste, touch, feel. Not like
Good.
feelings,
Sure.
but feel. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, but at the same time,
And experiences.
sure. But at the same time,
Mhm.
me and you may have the same experiences and feel different things.
Yes, but we all live in the same reality, just like the crazy guy talking to himself on the side of the road. He lives in the reality that he lives in his own reality where he's talking to somebody. But in the actual real world, there's nobody there.
Okay, so what's your point?
There is a truth there, and he is not seeing it. He's made up his own truth, which is not true. Does that make sense?
But how do you know, Mike? Oh my
because
God. How do
because
you
we have scientists and doctors that say that's called psychosis, and we have testings, and we have history of it. We have all these things to go back it up. Science, evidence, all those things.
Evidence. How do you know all of that is true? How do you know that this is real, that I am real? That
Again, I'm only going by my own reality. I could be a brain in a vat.
Yeah,
my brother-in-law thinks that we're all in a system of computers.
Right.
This is all just a simulation.
Sure. So
but nobody can draw the conclusion of where the truth lies in that.
Because we don't know, Mike.
We don't know, and it's all just guessing. We can only go by our reality.
Yeah, but
the real tangible world.
But here's what I want to get at for you. Because maybe this might close the circle. Absolutely. What any individual chooses to believe is true becomes their reality. Good? It
doesn't make it truth, though.
No, don't stop. Give me a moment here. I'm trying to answer your question, right? It doesn't make it true. We live in a world that is filled of pain and suffering and misalignment and separation and otherness and inhumane absolute fuckery. For me, what I have chosen to believe makes that world a little bit more palatable. And it makes me believe that everything I say, do, and think can make somewhat of a difference. And it gives my life somewhat of a purpose. I don't give a shit whether anyone remembers my name or not. Because I am not my body to me.
Yeah.
I am the resonance and vibration of how I make others feel. And that how I can impact the ongoing collective consciousness of humanity. That is what I have chosen to believe, to make this experience of this human experience and this world we live in, to make it make some kind of sense to me, and to give us all some kind of purpose. If it's not a purpose you collect to, then cool. But to add to that, because we were talking about this a little bit while ago, and I mentioned the idea of this experience being a curriculum.
Yeah, school.
It's not a pleasant curriculum. It's not always pleasant. It's not always happy. It's not always easy. And sometimes we have to experience things that cause us immense pain and suffering. And those things I can only hope and believe. I have chosen to know and believe that on some level, they're here to teach us things like compassion, forgiveness, surrender, non-attachment, and all of it. Okay, I got you. Let me say one more thing.
You got to go to the extreme on that, though. Go to the extreme on that, and then say those words to teach us compassion. Go to the extreme.
Let me say one thing first, because to me, this is the hammer and the nail. This is the pin on it. All of the things we're experiencing and all the suffering and all the pain in that moment are very real. To those people experiencing it and to us witnessing it. And again, this is what I have chosen to believe to help it make sense to me. Right? Is that it becomes a lot heavier if we identify with our physical bodies. But if we can identify with something outside of physical bodies, then in that moment, along the massive timeline of existence, forget humanity. Human existence is barely visible on the timeline of existence. So in that moment, that one speck of time, that one moment of immense suffering and pain passes because we are not actually our body.
Because we die eventually. Yeah, eventually that pain
We
will go
leave
away when
we
die.
leave our body and we learn and we experience what we need to and we move on.
Yeah, I don't think kids need to experience rape in church. So I'm just going to throw that out there. I don't think kids need to experience that. I don't think anybody needs to experience that, honestly.
Yeah, absolutely.
So whatever force this telling us that we need to experience this shit school, I say fuck off.
Yeah. Well, I understand, Mike, why you might say that and why someone else might say that. I don't
think it's a good thing at all. I think it's horrible. I think it's sadistic. I think it's fucked up. But that's okay.
Yeah. And I also say, Mike, I also want to say this for listeners. Remember, all of us have our own experiences and our own conditioning. And I am very conscious of the fact that my conditioning has been one of extreme privilege. And I'm not talking about financial privilege or skin color privilege or any of that stuff. What I speak to is the privilege of safety and security, and the privilege of knowing what love is. And I think my entire life, I have always benefited from that. So I do understand why someone can say, yeah, those perspectives are skewed. And I'll be like, I understand why you can say that. I get it. I completely get it. And I completely understand why someone might have another experience or other views due to their experiences and their conditioning. But again, for me, I would like to believe that I have dedicated my life every day to trying to make the world a better place. Through every interaction, every word, every conversation, because I believe that every thought, every word, every action I have makes a difference in the world. So if I was not intentional with my actions, words, and thoughts, I could be making the world a more fucked up place.
Well, I appreciate you trying to do it better.
I try, Mike,
There's too many other people not working on that.
I believe for each and every individual, they do that in their own way. And I believe that the bottom line is, that's what fucking matters. That's what matters. Nothing else matters. I don't care, Mike, if you believe in God, don't believe in God, I don't care. But I would like to believe that I would love to know that my impact on you as a human being is in some way to inspire you to try to have a positive impact on other human beings.
Absolutely. I try and have a positive impact.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I don't always do it, but I try.
Yeah, we try. That's all we can do. And that's what I mean, Mike, by the fact that the resonance and vibration of our relationships is what
create
lives
our own universe. We are our own gods.
That is what lives forever. Well,
it's been fun, Troy. I appreciate it, man.
It's been really interesting. It's been really fun. This has been such a beautiful podcast for me and a conversation. It's been really good. I've learned a lot.
Go ahead and plug your stuff. Yeah, absolutely. Where can we find Troy?
Oh, plug myself. All right, plug my stuff. I'm at troyhadeed.com. If somebody is interested in yoga, otherwise I have a yoga studio online called beyondyogatv.com. I have a book coming out in October, November. So if anybody's interested, even if they're just interested because they want to read it and rip it apart, cool, dude. Do it. It's called My Name is Love, and it's going to be out in October, November. I am on Instagram. If anybody has questions, they want to shoot my way, they think I can offer anything or any insight, I'm there to help us all figure it out because we know nothing.
Thank you, Troy. This has been a blast. Stay safe out there.
Yeah.
We'll keep in touch.
You too, Mike. Love my brother. Appreciate you. Yeah.
That's all the show there is for you today. Thanks for listening. As always, you can find me at the Bible Says What YouTube and Facebook pages. You can also find clips of the show on TikTok under BSW the Podcast. If you like what you heard and want to help keep the recording light on, simply go to patreon.com/BSW the Podcast and sign up to be a supporter of the show. Your episodic tithes of $1 or more will get you early access to each episode by at least 3 days, stickers, shirts, and shoutouts. That's patreon.com/BSW the Podcast. For the latest events, BSW swag, including signed copies of The Bible Says What the book, head on over to the show's ever-evolving webpage at thebiblesayswhat.com. And no matter which platform you use to listen to your podcasts, don't forget to hit that subscribe button so you won't miss out on the next episode. Until then, would you kindly pick up your Bibles and read them? From In the Beginning to the Musical Apocalypse, this is The Bible Says What. I'm your host, Mike Wiseman. Quick update. Now, I'll get it right one day. Whew. That day's got to be today, though.